Hey man, in today's world, you'll notice something that wasn't always this blatant before. Women don't just sit back and let attraction unfold naturally. They've learned to cultivate an environment where men are expected to chase them endlessly. This isn't because men have suddenly lost their value, or women have suddenly gained it. It's because modern culture, social media, and female conditioning have engineered the perfect storm where the chase is glorified. Women are fed the narrative from a young age that they are the prize, that their beauty alone entitles them to pursuit, validation, and attention. The chase has become less about genuine interest and more about control. By getting you to chase, she keeps you investing. While she risks nothing, she keeps you hooked while she decides if you're worth it. This is manipulation dressed up as romance. You see, the chase works as a psychological tool. It keeps a man in a constant state of proving himself. When you're chasing, you're not evaluating her, you're too busy trying to earn her approval. And that's exactly where she wants you. Distracted, desperate, and always slightly uncertain of where you stand. This imbalance of power gives her the advantage. If she can make you chase, she doesn't have to offer consistency, loyalty, or effort because you've already been conditioned to work harder than her. It's no longer a relationship between two people, testing compatibility. It's a performance where you're dancing for her validation. And the more you chase, the more she learns that she can withhold, withdraw, and manipulate while you still come running. The sad reality is, modern women have perfected the art of dangling the carrot without ever having to deliver. Social media has amplified this to extremes. Likes, comments, DMs, and constant male validation have created a marketplace where her ego is always fed. She doesn't even need to be interested in you to make you chase her. A simple smile, a text, or a breadcrumb of attention is enough to keep you guessing, hoping, and pursuing. And every time you chase harder, she feels more powerful. This isn't about love or connection, it's about control. It's about proving to herself and to the world that she can make men bend to her will without giving anything in return. It's manipulation at its core, yet most men don't even recognize it, because they've been conditioned to believe chasing is normal. Think about this. In the past, men were respected for their ability to provide, to lead, to build. Relationships were partnerships where effort came from both sides. But nowadays, men are told they must constantly prove their worth just to get basic attention. This shift is not accidental, it's cultural programming. Movies, music, and influencers all promote the idea that men must chase relentlessly while women sit back and choose. The entire dating dynamic has been flipped into a game where men invest their time, money, and energy while women risk nothing until the man has proven himself worthy of her attention. And even then, many still walk away once they've drained enough out of the chase. It's a trap that leaves men exhausted, confused, and ultimately empty. Here's the brutal truth. The chase benefits women far more than it benefits men. By making you chase, she gets the thrill of power, the rush of validation, and the safety of never fully committing. She can enjoy your energy without giving back. And the longer you play into it, the more you train her to believe that her mere existence deserves effort, while yours doesn't. This is why so many men today feel used, disrespected, and discarded. They've been tricked into thinking that chasing is the path to love, when in reality, it's the path to manipulation. The man who chases endlessly is rarely the man who wins her loyalty. He's the man who entertains her ego until she finds someone else to chase her less and command her respect more. When you peel back the layers, you'll see that women don't want the chase because it proves your love. They want the chase because it inflates their sense of power. Every call you make, every message you send, every plan you initiate without her lifting a finger confirms to her that she has you wrapped around her finger. This makes her feel superior, not connected, and here's where the manipulation deepens. The longer you chase, the less she respects you. She sees your willingness to beg for scraps as weakness, not devotion. She interprets your persistence as desperation, not strength. And once she labels you as weak, she will use you for entertainment, resources, and validation until she finds another man who doesn't chase, because that man will suddenly feel more valuable in her eyes. One of the most overlooked aspects of this manipulation is the timing. Notice how women rarely demand the chase after they've already committed. Instead, they want it before they give themselves fully, because that's when they hold the most leverage. Once you start chasing, they can withdraw attention at strategic moments to test how far you'll go. This hot and cold behavior is intentional. It's designed to keep you hooked. When she responds warmly one day and coldly the next, you're caught in a cycle of trying harder, thinking that if you just do more, you'll get back to the warmth you once felt. But that warmth was never real. It was bait. And once you're hooked, she can control the rhythm of the relationship without ever having to invest equally. Social media has weaponized this manipulation. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat have turned women into masters of dangling just enough attention to keep men circling. She can post a picture, watch dozens of men chase in the comments, and then decide who gets the privilege of a reply. Even if she never intends to be with those men, the thrill of being chased feeds her ego. And here's the dangerous part. When you chase her, you're not competing against just one or two guys. You're competing against hundreds. You're feeding into a system where she feels like a celebrity, and you feel like a fan. And in her mind, fans chase, celebrities don't. This dynamic leaves men permanently disadvantaged unless they learn to step back and refuse to play the game. What most men fail to see is that the chase is not a test of love, it's a test of submission. She doesn't need proof that you like her. Your presence already shows that. What she's really testing is how much you're willing to give without return, how much you're willing to compromise your dignity just to keep her interested. And the cruel irony is that the moment you prove you'll give endlessly, she loses interest. Why? Because the chase is about uncertainty. She's not turned on by your effort, she's turned on by your doubt. The second she knows you'll never leave, you're no longer exciting, you're predictable, and predictable men get replaced. That's why the chase is a trap. It trains you to give more and more, only to be discarded once you've proven your loyalty. The truth is, women want you to chase nowadays because society rewards them for it. Every magazine cover, every influencer, every movie tells them they're the prize. They don't have to earn you, they just have to entertain you long enough to make you prove yourself. But here's what they don't realize, men are waking up, men are seeing the game for what it is. The more you chase, the less she respects you. The less you chase, the more she starts to wonder about you. And that wonder, her curiosity, her uncertainty, is the real attraction. Women may claim they want romance, effort, and pursuit, but what they truly respond to is the man who never loses himself in the process. Because at the end of the day, no amount of chasing ever secures loyalty. Respect does, and respect is born from restraint, not pursuit. The most dangerous part about the chase dynamic is that it conditions men to measure their value by how well they perform in a game designed for them to lose. You find yourself asking, did I text enough? Did I compliment enough? Did I plan something exciting enough? All the while, she isn't measuring herself at all because the spotlight isn't on her performance, it's on yours. This is psychological manipulation at its finest. By keeping you chasing, she avoids accountability. She can act inconsistent, distant, or even disrespectful, and you'll still push harder, hoping to win her over. What you fail to realize is that she's not looking for a winner, she's looking for entertainment. And the man who performs the hardest becomes the easiest to discard when the show is over. Another reason women push men into chasing nowadays is because it keeps them emotionally detached. When you're the one constantly proving yourself, she doesn't have to invest her emotions. She doesn't have to risk rejection or vulnerability because you're carrying all the weight. This allows her to explore other options while still keeping you on a leash. She can flirt with others, entertain messages, or disappear for days because she knows the second she dangles attention again, you'll come running. The chase allows her to live without consequence, while you live in a state of constant anxiety. You call it trying to win her heart, but in reality, you're just financing her freedom while trapping yourself in emotional debt. Men often mistake this chase for normal dating behavior because it's so normalized now. Movies show the persistent guy who finally wins the girl after proving himself endlessly. Songs romanticize the man begging for another chance. Even advice columns tell you to show her how much you care by never giving up. But real life doesn't work that way. In real life, women who demand to be chased rarely respect the man who finally wins them. Because deep down, if you had to break yourself just to earn her, she already knows you'll break yourself again to keep her. And what do women do with men? They know we'll sacrifice anything. They exploit them. The chase, therefore, isn't just a dating strategy. It's a preview of the future dynamic where you'll always be giving and she'll always be taking. The irony is, the very men who refuse to chase are the ones women end up respecting the most. Why? Because they break the script. They don't fall into the manipulative cycle of over-investing. Instead, they make her invest. They shift the dynamic by living fully in their own frame, showing that their attention is earned, not handed out freely. And this makes her uncomfortable, even frustrated, but also intrigued. Women claim they want men to chase, But what truly pulls them in is a man who makes them question their place, a man who forces them to step up if they want to be part of his life. That's why the non-chaser becomes unforgettable, because he's the only one who didn't feed her manipulation, he fed his own standards instead. So why do women want you to chase nowadays? Because it costs them nothing and gives them everything. It validates their worth without them having to prove anything. It keeps you insecure while they stay in control. It ensures they can cycle through men without ever being accountable. But here's the truth, most men don't want to hear. The moment you stop chasing, you expose the illusion. You see who's really interested and who was just playing games, and that revelation alone saves you years of wasted time, energy, and heartbreak. The chase isn't love, it's manipulation, and the only way to win is to refuse to play. Once you understand this, you'll never again sacrifice your dignity in exchange for breadcrumbs of her attention. You'll walk in strength, and women will feel the difference immediately. The moment you stop chasing, the balance of power shifts in ways most men don't even anticipate. Suddenly she's left with silence where there was once noise, with distance where there was once constant pursuit. And here's the thing about silence, it exposes reality. If she was only entertaining you for the chase, she'll vanish. She'll move on quickly, not because you weren't good enough, but because she never planned to give anything back in the first place. But if there was genuine interest, your refusal to chase forces her to step up. She'll reach out, she'll test the waters, she'll attempt to pull you back in. And right there is where you separate the pretenders from the contenders. Men think chasing secures love, but in truth, refusing to chase reveals it. By refusing to play the game, you force her to confront herself. You hold up a mirror that says, "What are you bringing?" And most women today aren't used to that. They're used to men competing, proving, and fighting for scraps of their attention. But when you don't play along, she has to reflect on her own value. She has to ask herself why you aren't bending over backwards like the rest. And in that moment, curiosity and doubt creep in. Doubt is powerful. It destabilizes her confidence. She begins to think, maybe he's different. Maybe he actually has options. Maybe I'm the one who needs to prove myself. That's when the manipulation collapses. You didn't chase, yet suddenly she's chasing you, and she doesn't even realize that you've turned her own game against her. Understand this. Women may say they want men to chase, but what they truly crave is the man who makes them feel like they have something to lose. Chasing never makes her feel that. It only makes her feel safe in knowing she owns you. But when you step back, when you stop proving yourself, when you move as if you could take her or leave her, she feels uncertainty, and that uncertainty ignites desire. Women respect the men they can't fully predict. They're drawn to the man who won't give them everything up front. That's the paradox. When you stop chasing, you create the conditions where she finally starts investing. And that's not manipulation on your end, it's balance. It's reminding her that relationships are not built on one-sided pursuit, but on mutual effort. This doesn't mean you play games or act cold out of spite. It means you stop giving your energy away cheaply. Every text, every call, every plan, those are investments. And when you give them to someone who hasn't proven worthy, you bankrupt yourself emotionally. But when you reserve that energy, when you put it back into your purpose, your craft, your goals, you become more valuable by default. Women sense when a man is consumed by his mission. They know they can't compete with a man's vision of himself. And ironically, that's when they chase the hardest, because they don't want to be left behind. You're no longer chasing her because you're too busy building something bigger than her, and she either rises to meet you, or she fades into irrelevance. Either way, you win. The real danger of chasing women in today's world is that it blinds you to your own worth. It makes you forget that you are the one who should be evaluating, the one who should be choosing, the one who should be deciding whether she's worthy of your investment. But when you flip the script, when you stop chasing, you reclaim that position. You stop being a contestant auditioning for her approval and become the judge of who deserves a seat at your table. That's not arrogance, that's clarity. Because the truth is, women have more options than ever before, but so do you. And the man who remembers his value doesn't chase, he attracts. He attracts by standing still, by building, by leading. And in a world where men are tripping over themselves to prove their worth, the man who refuses to chase is the one who stands out as unforgettable. When you refuse to chase, you don't just deny her the manipulation, you deny her the story she tells herself about men. See, most women nowadays operate with the assumption that men will always chase, that they can do the bare minimum and still have men competing for their attention. It's a script reinforced by their environment. But when you break that pattern, when you respond differently, when you don't move with the same predictable desperation as the rest, you shatter her illusion. Suddenly, she has to ask herself, why isn't he trying harder? What does he see that I don't? That confusion is powerful because it forces her to confront the possibility that maybe she is the one being evaluated. For the first time, she feels what men have been conditioned to feel, uncertainty, and that's when the power dynamic shifts in your favor. The modern chase has also become about ego inflation, not love. A woman who collects chasers doesn't necessarily want them. She wants the proof that she can get them. It's like currency in her world. She can show her friends the texts, the attention, the validation, and it boosts her social capital. But here's what makes you dangerous. When you don't contribute to that currency, when your attention isn't freely given, your absence becomes louder than another man's presence. She can't brag about you, she can't wave your validation around because you never gave it, and in a twisted way, that makes you the one who stands out the most. You didn't play into her manipulation, which means she can't forget you. You didn't fuel her ego, which makes her crave your approval even more. That's the paradox she can't escape. This is why men who never chase end up creating the strongest impressions, because they don't live in reaction to women, they live in alignment with themselves. Their standards dictate their choices, not desperation. And women, even if they never admit it, feel that strength deeply. It's rare. Most men fold at the first sign of withdrawal, texting more, calling more, proving more. But the man who doesn't fold shows he isn't afraid of loss. He's not afraid of her walking away, because his world doesn't collapse without her. That's the kind of man women respect. That's the kind of man they secretly test for. And once she realizes you won't chase, she has only two choices: rise to your level or lose you completely. Either outcome benefits you because you're not chasing illusions anymore, you're living in reality. The irony is, when you refuse to chase, you're not rejecting women, you're rejecting manipulation. You're drawing a line that says, if you want my presence, it has to be earned, not demanded. And that's a line most men never draw. But when you do, it forces her to respect you differently. She may not like it at first. She may even push harder, test harder, withdraw harder. But over time, she realizes you're immovable. You're not playing her game because you're too busy building your own. That realization flips everything. Instead of you proving yourself to her, she begins proving herself to you. And once that shift happens, the chase dies. What replaces it is balance, effort flowing from both sides, not just one. That's the only foundation where respect and loyalty can actually grow. So why do women want you to chase nowadays? Because it keeps them in control. It feeds their ego, and it makes them feel powerful without effort. But the truth is, the chase is nothing but smoke and mirrors. It's a game designed to strip you of your self-respect while convincing you it's the path to love. The man who keeps chasing never wins loyalty, he wins exhaustion. But the man who refuses to chase, who builds himself, who sets standards, who holds steady, he wins respect. And respect is the foundation of real attraction. In a world where most men are desperate to prove themselves, be the man who doesn't. Because the second you stop chasing, you expose the illusion. You reclaim your power, and you force her to show whether she was ever truly interested at all. And that, more than any chase, is the real victory.